I should be able to share from there, correct?
Yeah, so you should be able. Oh, you know what? You're right. This is my bad. I need to change your role to a presenter. Okay, and you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay.
That was my fault.
All right. Just as I turn it over, go to my screen. Really great to see everybody. It's nice to have you all here, and thanks for joining. I'm gonna feel free to ask me questions. I'll try to watch the chat and whatnot, although I'm gonna be sharing a full screen, so I won't be able to see something. So if Dale, if you see a hand up or something and want to interrupt me, otherwise I will make sure I answer all questions at the end. And kind of happy to do that. Let's see if this works because I'm not doing share mode yet.
You are, yeah, you're showing your screen so far.
And you see the full screen, right?
I do, yes. Looks good.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes in share mode, all of a sudden it throws to another screen or something stupid like that.
Oh yeah, it's frustrating. All right, let's start us. Let me start us off here. Folks, welcome to this session, building a one sentence pitch, a 3-sentence pitch. We'll figure it out. At Nate, we honor and acknowledge that the land on which we learn, work, and live is Treaty 6 territory. We seek to learn from history and the lessons that have come before us, and to draw on the wisdom of the first peoples in Canada. Only through learning can we move forward in truth and reconciliation and to a better future together. Folks, we're honored to have Colin Christensen. Colin loves it when I really, really fluff him up a lot. The great Colin Christensen, one of the top consultants in the Alberta region, widely respected. You folks are in for a treat. He loves this. But legitimately, Colin's one of our best speakers, and so take some lessons. He's terrific. I am, as Colin, if you are joining us a little bit later, we're going to send this Colin's deck out to all the registrants after the session. In that email, you'll also get me asking you guys to fill out a survey link to find out how we did. And what else? I'm recording this. I never remember to record this, but I'm actually recording this, and I'll post this on probably our YouTube channel and internally on our Maji Center Moodle page. If anybody misses it or wants to check it out. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Colin Christensen. Go ahead, sir.
Thanks. Thanks, Dale. Yeah, you always do a good job of beefing me up, and that's always a problem for my ego. You don't want a bigger Colin than you already get. So it's really great to have you here, as I mentioned. I'm going to cover off a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a background here anyway. So I've been an entrepreneur since I was 10. So I've now mentored probably close to 2,000 some odd companies, and I've taken 15 companies to market, raised $30+ million, wrote a book, have an app, did a bunch of stuff with a bunch of people. Currently I'm in Copenhagen, so it's whatever time it is, in 8 o'clock I think now in the evening for us, and I'm down in Riyadh working out of Saudi Arabia with 9 amazing startups that are getting big funding, and so we do mentoring and pitching. And so one of the big things about pitching is being able to tell a story. And so maybe it's partly because I'm heavily ADHD or whatever it is, but I'm not going to listen to you for very long if you can't tell me a very succinct and quick understanding of your business. So, and it's funny because whether it's your business or your resume or your engagement proposal to your spouse or whatever it is, it better be succinct and include the right things, or you're probably going to lose an attention span. I think somebody was reporting that there's more people, coming in and learning ADHD scores and quizzes than ever before. And I think part of it is that little thing we hold in our hands all day long. But I think it's legitimate that, I was never diagnosed. I'm a Gen X, and, I can tell one of my kids has ADHD, but nobody actually ever told me I have ADHD until like my son told me. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that probably makes sense. So Anyways, this is my amazing family. I've got three amazing kids, 21, 19, and 17, and we're all a bunch of metalheads except for my daughter, my wife. My daughter's total metalhead, and wife is like a total 80s pop queen. So, but this is us in our 1990s album cover picture that we, just had some fun with. So here's what we're going to cover off today. We're going to talk about the first thing. If you're going to build a really good pitch, you have to be building something that people want. Second, you're going to plan the journey how they become your customers. And third, you're really going to get to tell the story well. And we're going to cover all three of those, but the final part is really getting into the pitch and how to build a pitch. So I don't know, I can't really do a show of hands, but how many of you are starting or working on a business of some sort or hope to start a business someday? Okay, see a couple in there, which is great. So keep this in mind. You ultimately are the first investor. You're the one putting your time and energy and effort and money into your business. What do you want out of it? You got to know what you want out of it first and foremost. So, and if you're not getting the ROI that you want, then what are you doing? Or how can you change it? But remember that, I mean, you are the first investor. So the other idea is too, not just to be the first investor, but to actually look at it like an investor, which means you kind of got to zoom out a little bit and look at your business, not from your own internal passions, but from the objectivity of, is this a good business? So that's where I'd start there. So in business, this is one of the biggest things. Like I said, I've mentored about 2,000 entrepreneurs, and I still work with entrepreneurs from zero all the way to $150 million in revenue, or I have over the years. I try not to work with the big guys anymore. Build something people want. So many customers, so many companies are building something and they have no clue what they're doing, and they're not building what somebody wants. And if you see this list, this is from CB Insights. You can see. I don't know if do you guys see your image in there or just the screen? You don't see yours. I see a little thing of some of the videos of you guys, which is good. I just don't want to be blocking numbers. So the reasons
we're good.
Okay, good. Right there, this is the big one. No market need. In other words, half the time people are building something nobody wants. Like, how does that happen? Well, it makes sense. I mean, we're all kind of our first customer too, right? They're like, I'm building this for me. But the problem is, if we only build it for us, we're not actually really getting to the root of it. We need to go and talk to customers and actually understand their job to be done. And so this is a great framework. You can go and look it up, JTBD, Clayton Christensen, Bob Moesta, two geniuses when it comes to talking about this. But they kind of get into this idea of when the situation happens and I want to fix something, and that's the motivation that's coming from it, so I can get an outcome, right? I bought these glasses for a reason, right? So I can see, but so I can kind of look cool and say, and then also make me feel confident, that I can see, but also that when I look in the mirror, I feel good about myself. So there's different things. When I can't see, I want to get something that make me see better so that I can clearly see and look good doing it, right? So here's a good example, and I say this partly because every entrepreneur ever kind of gets this wrong. Maybe you've heard this before. There was a 1920s saying that said this, nobody buys a drill. They buy a drill because they want a hole, right? But I want to work with this for just a second. So let's say somebody comes to me, I work at Home Depot, and they say, I want a drill. Like, okay, why do you want to drill? And they say, and this is the whole point of this, is you got to keep digging. As an entrepreneur, you can't just take, oh, that guy wants a drill, or that guy needs a pair of pants, or that guy wants an app. Why? Keep asking. So I need a drill. Why do you need a drill? Well, I want a hole. Okay, so why do you want a hole? Well, I want to put in a plug. Okay, why do you want to put in a plug? Because I need a lamp. All right, why do you need a lamp? Because I like to read at night. Okay, so why do you what do you need? You just need to go buy a Kindle. Right, so the guy comes in looking for a drill and you end up selling him a Kindle. But most entrepreneurs are going to try to sell a drill all the time. And what we should be doing is asking a lot of questions until we find out where the problem really comes from. And in this case, the guy probably just needs to go buy a Kindle and not a drill. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about planning the journey. So as people come to you, they're going to, how do they find out about you? So this is awareness, acquisition, activation, retention and referral. These are called pirate metrics. I like them pirate metrics because it's AAARR, right? It's not I'm not that cool. I'm not that smart. Somebody else came up with this, but I love it. AAARR for pirate metrics. Awareness. How does somebody find out about who you are or that you even exist? Is it you picking up the phone? Is it a social media post? Is it advertising? Is it a billboard? There's all kinds of different ways for people to find out about you. But then once they find out about you, the acquisition is how do they start circling if there's somebody you're interested in? Is there a landing page? Is there a website? Is there some content that they might download? Is it an ebook or something or a brochure? They're going to start following you around and checking you out, making sure that you're kind of who they want to be. If you understand their job to be done and you understand who they are looking for a thing and looking for a solution. And then they're going to actually spend money with you. You're going to activate them. They activate through becoming a customer, signing up for something, downloading, included on their email link for the newsletter or whatever. And retention is how do you keep them coming back? So now they spent money with you for a tattoo. How are you going to keep getting them come back for more tattoos? I'm making this up as I go along, clearly. But then, and then how do they tell others about you? You guys, you're so awesome. You're so good at what you did. I want them to keep coming back. So get them referring people. So that's how to do it. And we need to spend time and energy mapping out how that journey works. Okay. And again, these are some of the basics that you're going to learn from a lot of people. I just wanted to kind of set some context because when we're talking about pitching, this is the core of it. You're not just pitching or saying a one sentence pitch or a 3 sentence pitch for the sake of pitching. You're trying to get them to move. And so the job's to be done. There's an actual equation that's going on. Like if I tell you that I've got a really cool app for weight loss, that's great. But if you don't care about that, or you're doing something different, then I'm not going to get you as a customer. But if I understand what you're currently doing that may not be working for you, and what I might have as a new way of doing things that would be really good for you, I've got to understand that there's an equation there. Just because I wave something better, we don't make decisions logically all the time. Just because I have something better doesn't mean you're going to go there. Why? Because of this. There's an old way of doing things, and there's this push, this frustration with the old way, and this pull towards a new way. Ooh, that could work. That could be exciting. But there's also an anxiety that comes with a new way. Well, what if it doesn't work? What if I don't understand it? What if it's too expensive? What if, or whatever? That's the new way, keeping you away from the new way, and also the habits of the old way. I'm really comfortable doing it the way I've always done it. Why would I change? So it's never just about waving a new thing. If we did it that way, we'd all have six-pack abs and be millionaires because we ought to do what we ought to do, but we don't. And so that's why this equation works, is you need to understand that there's an old way and a new way, and there's factors that we have to address in order to get people to change. Okay. All right. So I want you to think about this maybe for your business. I'm not going to do a full breakout here, but just think about this. Ask yourself this. The first part of a 3 sentence pitch is how, and this is stating the problem. So this idea of how this type of problem exists. How it's really difficult to read at night, right? How it's people just don't know how to start and grow a business. How it's really hard to lose weight. How it's tough eating when you have an eating disorder, right? These are ways to say things in a way. I don't know if anybody wants to think about it for a second and has a good statement that they could offer in this, but how is the problem statement. So how this problem exists. Does anybody have one? Anybody want to put up their hand and say one that might work? How this problem exists? I won't be upset if you don't, but I was curious if people do. All right, keep going. So, but you need to start with that problem statement. So we're going to go through a 3 sentence pitch in a second and then eventually to a 1 sentence pitch. But how is the kind of understanding the problem. So that job to be done is a part of the problem. My pants don't fit, so I need new pants, right? My glasses, I can't see anymore. I need new glasses. My car is breaking down, so I need a new car. So how when your car breaks down, there's no good place to take it. That's what I mean by that. And I want it conversational. It's really important. Okay, so now we're going to get into the story a little bit more. Everybody is on a journey, and it's a hero story. we all are on our own little journey through life. And what's his name now? Joseph Campbell kind of came up with this hero story in the 1800s, late 1800s. But he also he talked a lot with George Lucas, I think it was, as well, on even the whole Star Wars story. So all these movies follow the same script, and there's a reason why we get so engaged with movies, because the hero story, it resonates with us. And so here's what the hero story looks like. There's a hero. By the way, it's not you, it's the client. You're the hero in your story, but you're not the hero in your client's story. Please keep that in mind. It's very important, and most people don't get that part. And that hero has a problem. Luke Skywalker, he's abandoned on Tatooine. He doesn't know who he is, right? But the problem always comes in three different parts: functional, social, and emotional. So functional is he's stranded on Tatooine, right? Or Harry Potter's living with his aunt and uncle that he hates, and he's stuck under the stairs, right? So, and there's a social element to it. That functional is the actual thing that's the problem. The social is how does it make me look or feel with others, right? And it makes me feel like an outsider. My family doesn't like me. I don't know who I am. All those kind of things. And then the emotional is what I'm feeling internally. I guess that's more I don't know who I am, right? You're a wizard, Harry, right? Or whatever. So the emotional, functional, and social, like, again, going back to these glasses as an example, right? My functional is I need glasses to see. The social is I wear these ones. I could wear a monocle. I could wear, John Lennon glasses. I could wear anything, but they say something about me to somebody else. So that's social element. And then the emotional is how it makes me feel, which is confident that when I put them on, I feel like I look good in the mirror and I can see. I don't run into walls, right? So that problem, breaking down this problem, is always important, that it's coming in a functional, social, and emotional elements. So again, going back to the hero story, there's a hero, they have a problem. It always is broken down in these things. And a good example, if you've ever seen, there's an Allstate commercial that I really like. It's a picture of a guy, and he's standing on top of like an SUV, and he's just filling it with water in the open sunroof. And he's just sitting there, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Mayhem. I love it when you leave your sunroof open," right? And so the functional is the guy left his sunroof open. The social is, how the heck my boss is going to hate me. My kids are going to hate me. I can't drive them to school. I can't get to work, right? Emotional is, I'm such an idiot. I can't believe I left the sunroof open. Why does this always happen to me, right? So that's how that problem breaks down. But that commercial does a really good job of understanding it. And again, it's the reason Allstate is really good is because they recognize how to describe the problem. You need to get good at describing the problem to others. Okay, it keeps going. So there's a hero. They have a problem. They need a guide. That's you. Okay, you're the entrepreneur. You're going to be the guide. You're the Yoda. You're the Hagrid. You're the Dumbledore. You're the one that's going to help this entrepreneur or to help this hero get what they want. And you're going to give them a plan, right? So sign up for this, get regular updates, use the app regularly, and you'll get this outcome. That's it. So I'm going to call you to action, download the app, right? Or buy these pants, or join this club, or whatever it is. And then they get to be transformed. And if you look at Harry Potter, or you look at Luke Skywalker, both of them, the first time, they didn't get transformed, right? They didn't follow the plan necessarily. So they either follow the plan and are transformed, or they don't follow the plan and fail. And you need to talk about the failure part, because like I said, we all have six-pack abs and be millionaires if we actually followed the rules, but we don't. Purple Bricks, there's another self-selling, house selling software, does a good job of this, because they show what happens when the person didn't sell through Purple Bricks, and they get all frustrated. One girl puts her head in a cake, another guy puts on loud earphones and drowns out the life with music. And so this is a good way. So again, there's a hero, they have a problem, they need a guide, they give them a plan, calls them to action, and they're either transformed, they follow the plan and transformed, or don't follow the plan or not. But I want this to be the backdrop of everything you do when you're doing it in marketing. Understanding the job to be done, who are you selling to, and what's the transformation that you're going to offer these people. Because I'm not buying the pair of pants because I want a pair of pants. I want to be transformed. I'm not buying the glasses because you need to talk about that. And again, so just thinking about this as a guy who has way too many words already, when you do your pitch, this is why I talk about this, because guys like me don't have an attention span. The people, when you talk to them for the first time on the internet, on social media and things like that, they don't have an attention span. When you're talking to a group of investors or customer, or even potentially your spouse or your boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, they don't always have an attention span. So you really gotta only, and this is an entire post. I love his brevity, of by Seth Godin. And he says you have, it's called 10 words per page. You know, that's how many words you get scanned the first time through, perhaps, maybe 5 on a billboard, right? Which means that your memo, your ad, your announcement, your post, your pitch, you have 10 words. Highlight the 10 of the 1,000 or so that you've written. Which 10 do you want somebody to scan that they're intrigued enough to slow down and find out the rest? If you look at any magazine ever, right, there's little call outs, newspapers too. There's a little call out and it'll kind of highlight one quote or one little statement of it, because it's like, ooh, that's interesting. And it pulls you into the article. Your pitch is the same way. Your pitch isn't meant to be everything. It is just meant to be the 10 words that captures their attention, so that you're given permission to be able to talk more. If you can begin with the 10 words and write around them, you have the foundation for an effective message. I love this. And Jay Levison said, the best billboard ever. Free coffee, next exit. 4 words. That's a good pitch, right? What do you see? What do we see when you scan your work? So you want to be thinking about this. The reason it's so important, because a confused mind says no. When you're trying to describe all the technical things about your business and how it works and why it's important and all this kind of stuff, people just zone out and they say no. They might say, oh yes, it's called a soft yes. It doesn't really count. So you need to make sure that you're getting beyond this. Yeah, thanks. Please use it as much as you can. A confused mind says no. And I talk about this with people pitching to investors all the time. You're explaining way too much. The guy's sitting there going, what do you do again? So you've got to get succinct. You've got to get down to those 10 words. I'm not going to read this, but this is out of a quote out of a book, a little introduction to a company in a book called Play Bigger. And it's this long-winded explanation of who this Megatech Ding Dong Corp is, versus, you know, the Salesforce logo, no software. So simple, right? This is what you want. You don't want to be that first one. You want to be the second one. Your pitch needs to be so clear that it's not this weird, long-winded, babbling thing. It's just simple and clear. And this is the importance of getting down to a couple of words. So, and the reason for this is because I can take it around with me. You want me to remember you. I get 10,000 messages a day coming at me from advertisements and jingles and all this kind of stuff everywhere I go, social media banners and all this crap everywhere. I don't want to remember anything. I can't remember everything. So whatever you give me, you better make it portable. You better make it something that it's super portable that I can take with me. It's easy to remember anytime. Oh yeah. That guy that does that thing, you need to talk to him. This is him. That's it. It just needs to trigger other people. And it needs to be simple enough that a 10-year-old or your great grandmother can understand it, because they don't know technology, no jargon, all this crud. Just make it simple for a 10-year-old. And that's how you get people to remember who you are. Not by that Megatech ding dong, long-winded, try to cover everything. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to pay attention. Get it down to, 1 sentence or 3 sentences. So this is what the 3-sentence pitch looks like. So, and there's a little worksheet that you can download if you want to take that picture. It'll come in the thing. There's I can add the link if I need to. Dale, just remind me. But this is it's just like a little Google form that'll help you work through the idea of the 3-sentence pitch. And by the way, I'll tell you this now because I keep forgetting it's in there. But there's this statement I ask, will you marry me versus will you date me? Okay, just a really quick understanding of that. If I went to my wife the first time I met her, we're coming up on 25 years anniversary this November. But if I went and said, first time I met her, said, hey, will you marry me? Probably wouldn't have gone well, right? But if I said, will you go on a date? It worked, right? And so I can ask each time and say, will you marry me? But ultimately, we might just want to keep acquainting through a date until we get to the point where she's willing to say yes to marriage. Think of your marketing campaign the same way. Sometimes they're going to come and they're going to slap the big buy now button, but not always. They're usually going to come and slap the, yeah, I'm kind of interested. And they'll hang out for a while until they get ready to slap the big buy now button. So that's what that means in that little worksheet. Anyways, so this is the 3 sentence pitch. Um, yeah, thanks. You know how we solve this by imagine if. You know how this problem exists. We solve this by, we do what, for, who, how. We're going to talk about that. That's the 1 sentence pitch. Imagine if. Okay. So here's an example of what it might look like. So you know how just because somebody is great at baking cookies, it doesn't mean that they actually should run a bakery. True statement, right? It's two different, very different things. One is baking cookies, one is making a bakery. Those are very, very different leases and quantities and sales and employees and all that rigmarole that takes people away from just baking a cookie. But some people make an app and they think that's a business. No, that's an app. It's a cookie, not a bakery. So we solve this by, right, we helping entrepreneurs learn the fundamentals to build a business around their idea. Imagine if we could end this failure in a business. So let's try that again. Simple 3 sentence pitch. And this is a great answer to, hey, what do you do? Think about it that way. This is your networking pitch. Every time you're talking to people, every time you go somewhere, sitting over dinner at a restaurant, romancing that really cute person that you're interested in or whatever. Hey, what do you do? Okay, so you know how just because someone is great at baking a cookie, that doesn't mean they know how to run a bakery, right? And they kind of go, yeah, okay, I'm with you. I get that. So I run a business that we solve this by helping entrepreneurs learn the fundamentals to build a business around their idea. So imagine if we could just end needless failure for entrepreneurs everywhere. So cool. That sounds great. They engage. You just want engagement. You're not trying to sell them everything. You're just trying to get them to be interested and understand what you do. Make sense? So that 1 sentence pitch is that middle one. You know how, like we go back, well, I'll show this to you in a second, but you know how, or you know how this problem exists. We do what, for, who, how is the solution. We solve that by, we do what, for, who, how, and imagine if. So we do what, for, who, how looks like this. We're creating equity through well-executed entrepreneurship and microloans. So one of the companies I helped found was a group called Lend Hope Worldwide, which is a microlending platform around the world. We've helped 150 plus entrepreneurs get their business started from crowdfunding microloans. So this is it, but we do what, for, who, how, right? We're creating equity through well-executed entrepreneurship and microloans. We're creating equity, that's the what, right? What are we doing? We're creating equity. Through, for who? Well, in this case, it's implied, somebody who needs equity. So the implied is for who. How? Through well-executed entrepreneurship and microloans. Right? So we do what, for, who, how. This is a great 1 sentence pitch. And this is what I want you to get down to. So the 2 words is one more step. So you go 3 sentences. You know how this problem exists. We solve this by, we do what, for, who, how. Imagine if. That's the 3 sentence pitch. The 1 sentence pitch is we do what, for, who, how. Right? And then the 2 words, if you can own on Google, you want to own on Google. What was somebody going to type into entrepreneurship? Sorry, type into Googleator to find you, right? And so it's going to probably be descriptive. It might be very regional. And that's the nice thing about Google results. It can be regional and you know, want it to be set up for a great little Google search. So in my case, it's Entrepreneur Roadmap, right? And I just talked to a guy today from Munich University, technical university in Munich, and he Googled, he's like, I want to find a roadmap for entrepreneurship. Guess what? I'm all over the place for that page. So he reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, I want to find out how to start and grow a business, and your name came up everywhere. I want to find it. So I own Entrepreneur Roadmap on the Entrepreneur. Or you might have Backyard Rinks in Edmonton, right? That's a Google search kind of thing that you could type in, or Best Falafel, because again, even Best Falafel is going to bring up the stuff right around you. So think of your business and what 2 words do you want to own? What 2 words do you own that if they search for this, they're going to find you? And this gets tough because Entrepreneur Roadmap, I had Whole Entrepreneur for a while because I talked about the mindset and all that kind of stuff. Nobody understood it. Entrepreneur Roadmap got right to the chase of what it was. Hey, yeah, doing all right so far, half an hour. Okay, so this is how it kind of fits into action in the whole span of things. So it's kind of like this, you know, the metaphor around the iceberg. But it starts at the very peak. You know, you've got your 2 words. Somebody Google searches you. And then maybe you have the opportunity to give a 1-sentence pitch on a landing page. We do what for who, how. Oh, I'm in the right place. This is good. Then you can do your 3 sentence pitch. Say if you're talking to somebody in a Starbucks line or whatever, you can say, you know how this problem exists. We solved this by, imagine if this was the case and the whole world was transformed and made better because of it. It's awesome. Right. And then you might get invited to stand up in front of people and do a 3 sentence pitch, or sorry, a 3 minute pitch. So that's what we're doing with 500 Global, except it's 2 minutes. So, and you know, you go through some of the different programs with Dale and stuff. You're going to get to do 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute pitches all the time. But so then you do that 3 minute pitch, but then you might get invited to do a 10 minute pitch with an investor or with a customer or something more. And then you can get into having all these appendices and all this due diligence that might come up if you have an investor. So they're going to ask more details. But my point is, you don't start with this blast of information that nobody cares about. You start with 2 words. If they're interested, they've given you permission to go deeper and give them maybe 1 sentence pitch. If they give you permission to talk a little longer, you might do a 3 sentence pitch. If they give you a little bit more permission, a little bit more permission, a little bit more permission, you might get to the point where they'll give you $1 million. You don't start with the massive background of why everything, nobody cares until they know what you're talking about, and then you can start digging in. That's why I kind of put it this way. Okay. I'm gonna actually get you to do this in a second, but I'm gonna come back to it. I've got, I think, 3 more slides, and then I'll kind of end and we'll turn it over to questions. But this is your turn. I'm gonna ask you, this is the hard make or break passing questions quiz. Okay, so if you remember way back when, what is the top reason why businesses fail? Anybody? Go ahead and shout it out.
They don't start properly first.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple there. No need for the product, no market need. Yes, those kind of things. I saw those pop up in the chats. Yes. So they're not building something that people want. They haven't confirmed that people want something. Okay, so that's good. And so how might you avoid this? This is a little bit of a trick question. I didn't go into a lot of detail on this, but how do you figure out if somebody actually wants it? Nope. Sorry, Rob. I'm not going to pick on you too bad, but you can look up all the feasibility studies in the world. It's not going to tell you what you want. Yes, thank you, Don. Whoop. Big points go out to Don. Go and talk to your customers. A feasibility study is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, but that's not going to tell you if somebody's going to buy your product or not. It just tells you if there's a little bit of an opening for your product, but that doesn't tell you it's the right thing. You could end up having a whole bunch of people review it, like, and tell you some big stories about it, but until you actually go and talk to a customer and see if they care, they're like, what? Because even if it was the right product, but you couldn't explain it, nobody's going to buy it. So the feasibility study kind of gets you into maybe a genre, but you want to find 5 people, 10 people that just love what you're doing and can't wait for you to build it for them. So go and talk to customers. That's the outcome I'm trying to look for. Go and talk to customers. I had a guy, I love this. I was mentoring a guy. I was an EIR for Nate for a very, very short time, but for McEwen before and stuff like that. And I had this brilliant international student. He came to me and he's like, I'm going to build an app. And I'm like, oh, cool. Tell me about your app. He's like, I really want to help international students get connected and really start building things for themselves and start having communication when it's so different coming to a new country. I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. Have you talked to anybody about it? Any customers about it? And he's like, no, I'm a developer. I'll just pound out the code and try it out and get an MVP out the market. I'm like, hold on, before you spend all your time and energy and money building this thing that you're not sure about, you're building it for you. What about other people? I said, I'll give you a challenge. Go talk to 20 people. Go talk to 20 students that you think are your international students that you like about this and see what they say. So he did. Knees knocking, sweat pouring off of him, nervous as all get out, ready to barf every time he went and talked to somebody. He did it, and I love him for it. And he went and he interrupted people in school. He got them to pull out their earplugs, very uncomfortable, and said, hey, can I ask you about a little thing I'm trying to build? What do you think about this? 20 no's in a row. every single person's like, no, this is stupid, man. I don't even want to have social apps on my phone anymore. I'm deleting most of them. They're terrible and blah, blah, blah. And all this feedback he was getting. And he's just like, what? He had no idea. But in that conversation, he met one guy, an Indian guy, and says, you know what I love Edmonton. I love the Heritage Festival. I go there and I eat all this food from all over the world, and I get home cooked meals from these moms out of India. And I started talking to the moms, and they're like, I'll make you some food on a regular basis. And all of a sudden, this guy is like, dang, I have an idea. What if I talked to some moms and talked to some students and see if I could make that connection with a couple of cheap bucks and start making like an Uber Eats, but specifically for home cooked meals from great moms. Anyways, okay, I'm going to come back to that in a little bit, just because it was more text than I can read, and as it popped up on my screen. But anyways, he found this new idea, and then he started doing more research. He started going and talking to moms and seeing how often and how much and how expensive it would be to make meals on a regular basis. They found a bunch of students that wanted to buy food and how much they would pay and how often they'd do it. And he started figuring out how to make that match, internally. Then, only then, would you start writing any code. Dinner Dash did the same thing. Now it's a multi-billion-dollar company. They went and took pictures of a whole bunch of menus and put them on a website with a phone number to one of their cell phones. That's how Dinner Dash started. DoorDash, sorry. Anyways, go talk to your customers. That's the point. Okay. Do you remember the pirate metrics? Somebody give me the pirate metrics. Or the key areas of the customer journey is what I'm trying to get across. Anybody remember them? Not seeing them pop up, so I'm going to kind of go. I don't know if I have the chat more permanent. Okay, I'll give you a hint. AAARR, pirate metrics, right? Anybody? Dale, did anybody put anything in the chat or no?
Nope, nothing. Although, in fairness, that's a tough one. I'm not sure I remember the pirate metrics.
Yeah, okay. So it's okay. But it's a good one to remember. So think of it in the acronym for starters. AAARR. There's all kinds of different versions of it. You can look it up on the internet. Awareness. How do they become aware of you? Acquisition. How do they start circling around you and finding out if you're cool and they want to buy something from you? Activation. They actually activate and open their wallet and pay or contribute or become a part of your circle. Retention. Keep them coming back. Referral. Telling others about you. Okay. So totally understand that's a tough one, but remember those. That's how people are going to buy. That's how they, whether you're buying a chocolate bar or whatever it is, go to a restaurant, you're using those pirate metrics as you buy something. And that's how you want to map that out for other people as well. Okay. And the foundation for the 3 sentence pitch. Do you remember what the 3 things are? Anybody? Bueller.
3-sentence one.
Yes.
You know how we solve by ImagineF.
Perfect. Actually, I see a whole bunch of folks got it. Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate it at the time. You got it. You nailed it. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over. Well, two more slides. So one, here is a few fantastic books that will help you on this kind of stuff. Will It Fly is an amazing book on just going and talking how to pitch your little 3-sentence pitch at Starbucks even. Business Made Simple is a good overview of how business is actually supposed to work, and it makes you a better employee, better entrepreneur. Demand Side Sales is one of the best by Bob Moesta. It talks about the jobs to be done and really walking things through. Blue Ocean Strategy, just how to be different in the world of competition. And Utility really gets down into some of those 2 words that he was talking about owning as well. And then that's me. There's a free app there under pocketmentor.ca. You can go and download an app and it'll help you on your customer journey. I know Dale has some amazing material and some great stuff you can get engaged with and walk through. Similar, different, all good, all of it. Take it all, use it all. It's all important. That's all helpful. Getting on your journey, and different people learn different ways. So take that. But in the meantime, I'm going to go back here. And I would love to hear if anybody has an attempt at their 3-sentence pitch. it's nerve-wracking and it's dangerous and it's risky and it's embarrassing saying it, especially if you get it all weird and wrong. And you will be the one that gets the most help if you go first. So who wants to try it?
Let me know if you want me to call out any students here, Colin.
Give it a couple of minutes and then you can go ahead and poke on anybody. Even if it's a little long-winded, feel free to try it and we'll work through it because I'm going to ask a couple of questions and I'll help you massage it into something that's really helpful. I've done this millions of times and it's something that can really be useful for you. Anybody got even one of the sentences worked out and want to just give it a quick stab?
Just wing
Okay.
it, Don. Just wing it.
Yeah, just, you know what? Okay, so go ahead and read it if you want to. Who was that? I didn't see the name. Joel? No, Jerome? So turn off your mic and say it because I want to hear it. Because for me, it just pops up as a little quick window and it goes away and it went away too fast for me to see it.
So Colin, I know Jerome. He's got some technological issues with
Okay.
his microphone. So I'll read it for him if that's all right. You know
Go
how
ahead.
there's a so he says, you know how there's a lack of inclusion for those who are neurodiverse. We solve this by creating an online method of inclusion. Imagine if we can better connect those who are neurodiverse.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Great start. Okay, so now here's the thing. I'm not the only expert in the room in this. We all have ears. We all have an understanding of what the world is and how it works. So if anybody has some comments on that, what comes to mind when you hear it? What's the next question you might ask of Jerome? Anybody? Come on. All of you know this kind of, you know, something's missing or something. What does it make you think of? What do you think it means? You got a narrative going through your head. I just want you to share it. And Jerome, I'm confident and you're probably okay with hearing a little bit of feedback, right?
I can vouch he would be very good with feedback.
Okay. 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 100%. Okay. Sounds good. So since nobody else is weighing in, sorry, Jay, I said, I don't know if that was his or he was commenting on something else, but
That's his. Yeah.
okay. So here's some comments for you. You know how, yeah, the neurodiverse, there's not a lot of stuff that makes it inclusive for neurodiverse. 100%. Yes, I agree. Get it. That's going to get my head nodding, which is what you want. Yeah. Okay. Where are you going to go with this? Where are you going to go? Well, tell me more. And then you say, okay, we solved this by creating an inclusive something for neurodiverse people. Not enough. We do what? What is it you do? And how do you do it? For who? We know it's going to be for neurodiverse people, so that's fine. So what do you do and how do you do it? I know I'm waiting for typing on this, Jerome. I get it. But that's what's missing, right? That's the one piece. And I think it's great. But I even want more of a transformation on the other one while you're typing there. That I want to know what you do and how you do it. Is it a website? Is it a user group? Is it a meetup on a regular basis? Is it a, therapy session? Whatever it is, that's fine. But I need more. And on the Imagine If, this is where the transformation sells. Okay, you've got to sell the transformation. Imagine if people felt more included. Okay, imagine if, what's the outcome of this neurodiverse group? They're going to feel included. That's good. What more? Like I want you to paint the picture of a better world with them included in it, me included in it, right? That's what you're painting with that Imagine If. Imagine if we could, here's what I think of. Imagine if everybody could take advantage of the brilliant superhero powers of a neurodiverse community. Say that for me, Dale.
Sorry, what was that?
Jerome just typed something in and I couldn't see it Fascinating.
Apologies. He says, we solve this by creating a website/app that connects them to connection, community, housing, and emergency information, like alerts, etc.
Okay. Okay. So even just because I know how difficult it is to build an app and how expensive it is, how time consuming it is, and then it's very permanent. You can't change much. Websites, a lot better, a lot easier, a lot simpler. Anybody can set it up, $20. So imagine if we, imagine it, sorry, not imagine it. We solve this by creating a community or an online community on a website where there's loads of information and resources and events where people can get together. So you see, just trying to circle that up a little bit more into something that you can even deliver this week if you wanted to. That's key. Try it. Go and find a bunch of people and start bringing them together. Build a little website and start giving some resources. Test it out. It doesn't take anything to, costs very little and takes very little time to put something together where you can do that. My bet, Jerome, is that you have a lot of this stuff. You already know it. Get it somewhere and then start sending people to it and see if anybody cares.
Says, sounds good. Thank you, Colin. I'll continue to work on it.
That one I could read in on. So that's good, Jerome. Honestly, so just keep that in mind, right? You know how there's not a lot of inclusion for neurodiverse people. It's coming, which is great. A lot more clear now. We solve this by creating an online community through a website that anybody can come to and get information. Imagine if we could really lean into the superhero powers that come with being neurodiverse people. I love the superhero powers of neurodiverse people. Okay, anybody else want to give it a try? I think somebody else, was that Joe or Jay or somebody?
Yeah, Jay had one in the chat.
But he can probably.
Do you want to go off mic and read it?
No, I want Jay to say it if he can.
Yeah, that's what I'm suggesting.
Okay.
I'm in Canteen. I don't know what that is, but
Well, if he might be in a public place where he can't. Okay, so go ahead and read it there, Dale.
Okay, so it says, you know how people drink the same beverage and coffee daily? They don't get anything new. We solve this by doing market research and asking customers what new things they want instead of pumpkin spice latte every Halloween. Imagine if we start by creating new products, which nobody else can.
Okay, so this is good. I would take out the whole step ABC to get you where you want to go. Okay, because you're telling me of what you're going to do. I want to hear the story about what you've done, whether you've done it yet or not. I want to hear the story of what you've done. Okay, you're pitching me on the final state of it, not kind of what you're going to do in the meantime. And please understand, I'm not picking on you at all. I'm trying to give you a bit of an example. So let's do it this way. So you know how people get stuck into, drinking things that are probably mostly terrible for them, coffee and pop and crap, right? And alcohol or whatever. So we solve this by building new products that people are requesting that are better for them, taste better, and go like crazy. Imagine if people could have a wider selection of healthy or better or tasty solutions that would meet their needs. Right? Does that make sense? Because you're probably going to do the market research and figure out a category that works, and then you're going to then start to deliver on that category, whether it's kombuchas or some kind of iced teas or whatever it might end up being. But you're going to start coming out with that at some point. So go to that final state and start working with that. So you know how people drink crap right now and they probably don't really like it and they don't have any alternatives. We solve this by a custom made beverage that flavors with their own things that they want flavored in it, and anybody can get it anywhere. And imagine if we could deliver flavor to the whole world. I don't know, I'm obviously making it up.
Let me help you out a little, Colin. So Jay's actually created a couple of flavored coffees.
I love it.
Yeah, I forget which ones they were again, but just to help with the example. But yeah,
as long as it's not pumpkin spice, we're probably off to a good start. So
he'd be a millionaire if he did that. One of them was blueberry. That's right.
Yeah, I see that. That's awesome. So that sounds cool. Like, okay, so imagine if, yeah, you could start, Jay. I mean, again, I'm a I'm off the rails sometimes, and I like being irreverent. So, you know how really the only things we get is like iced cappuccinos and lattes and matchas and pumpkin spice crap everywhere. Imagine if you could get, or sorry, we solved this by creating like cool flavors from some of the tea brands and bringing them into coffee. Imagine if you could get the coffee the way you wanted it with something a much better flavor. I don't know. Obviously, I'm making it up in like the 12 seconds that I've had to come up with it. But to me, that kind of captures it a little bit more. We do what for who, how. We make custom flavored coffees for, individuals, for companies, for, selling at Starbucks or whatever. Imagine if the transformation people got what they wanted, right? So does that help a little bit? I hope. But that's kind of a way to break it down. I mean, and it may not be blueberry, it may be whatever, but you'll get there. Thanks, Jay. All right, anybody else want to give it a try?
Dawn looks ready.
I will.
Yay.
Okay, you know how family doctors have difficulty billing for seeing their patients. We solve this by the use of a time modifier calculator widget on their computers. Imagine if we could show family doctors how to value their time.
Okay, you're open to some feedback on that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so a couple things. I think it starts really well, right? Because it opens up. And if anybody else has comments, feel free, because I think we all, like I said, we all hear things and we all hear things in different ways. So what you sold me with the we do what for who, how was a little bit more technical, like it was a timekeeping widget, on a computer. I want to know the outcomes a little bit more. So we make it easier. We solve this by making it easier for doctors to keep track of their patients and their time with super, super intuitive technology. Blah blah blah. Imagine if you got more time with your doctor because he wasn't constantly dealing with records. Right. You see, and again, I'm not maybe capturing it exactly right, but the whole point is I want it to be sold on either A, you're going to sell it to the doctors, or you're going to sell it to the people who aren't a doctor yet. Because one of the things I didn't mention in this, and this yours, Dawn, is really good for this. When you say the 3-sentence pitch well, doesn't matter who you say it to. You could say it in a networking function. You could say it at your dinner table. You could say it to a friend's, bar mitzvah. It doesn't really matter. The point is, if they hear it right and it's said right, they're probably going to go, I have a doctor I need to introduce you to. He could probably really use this. I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about doctoring, but I could get you in front of a doctor. So when it's said right, it draws them in. So don't necessarily say it just from the perspective of the big world problem, but say it from a perspective that somebody might get it. Like, imagine if the doctors had more time to work with your parents or your grandparents because they were taking better record of the time. Something like that. Does that make sense?
Yes. It is something that's more designed for doctors, though, that has no direct effect on patients.
Right. Well, then why? Well, so okay, then allow me to ask a couple of questions, just because this might help in general too. So, why is it better for the doctor then?
Because currently any family physician in a physician's office, they bill for their general visits. On top of their general base code, they're allowed to apply a time modifier that counts for their pre and post work of that visit. They have no other option right now except for mentally tracking that in order to do that. So they are losing money on an invoicing side from obviously putting more focus on diagnostics, as they should be, but it comes at a cost to them in the physician's time and their money.
Okay, so to me, what I heard is that this will help the doctors capture their mental notes and actually get a real record of their stuff rather than trying to remember it all the time.
For their invoicing.
For their invoicing.
Because whenever we go to see a doctor, there's a patient care side of things, and then there's the business side of things, the actual invoicing.
Yep.
This assists with their invoicing side of things, not their patient care.
Okay, so the invoicing side of things though, but how does it bump into them? Or how do they bump into it? Where's the problem?
The problem is the codes are allowed to use the time modifiers, accompany certain things like the face-to-face time that they spend with the patient, but it also accompanies a bunch of actions after the fact, and the time associated with carrying out those actions also get to be invoiced.
Okay, so are they not capturing that time? Are they not remembering that time? Are they not remembering to add it? Like, how is it affect, or where does it?
They're not remembering to capture it. They have no trackable system except for mental calculation, and it's kind of fell to the wayside.
Okay, so then is this an automated thing that adds a little bumper on either thing when you track your client time, that it automatically adds that in? Or how is it adding that little extra to the invoicing system?
It would be a widget on their computer that is a little calculator that calculates through all their actions after assigning a time to those actions, how much time they actually spent pre and post caring for the patient in order to apply it to the time modifier.
Is it just something like a slap button that they can hit on and off when they're tracking this, or when they're dealing, like as they come into a patient and leave a patient or something?
No, it's a widget on their actual.
And is it, yeah, but how do they activate the widget to take track of that time? Oh, we lost your voice. We lost your voice.
Did you mute yourself, Don? No, it doesn't look like it.
It just kind of went quiet all of a sudden.
So, Colin, I can fill in the blanks. Obviously, I know a little bit more about Don's business. It's actually where she'll physically log the doctor will physically log the amount of time that they're spending with each patient, and then the software itself will calculate the billing.
Yeah, you create a framework of what you usually would take to write a prescription or to assign an aftermarket or to make a referral or whatever those little objects, those things are. So now your customized little widget has those things entered, but somehow we've got to remember to activate it and deactivate it or whatever, or add those things to the invoicing automatically, right? So yeah, that makes sense to me. So again, taking a quick stab at it. So you know how doctors often forget to take advantage of the different things that they're able to bill for because they can't remember or whatever, things like that. And so we actually created a very simple, easy to use system that allows every doctor to add those things and take full opportunity with the billing systems that they're allowed. So imagine if the doctors actually could get properly paid for the work that they're doing.
And the only thing I would add to that, just because I happen to know this one a little better,
Yeah.
is imagine if doctors could get billed 25% more, or can earn more 25% more on their total income just by having this app.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm going with it. But honestly, Don, thank you for sharing. Thank you for playing with on that, because I needed to understand. But it's not just about like part of it is when you're saying it, recognizing who your audience is. If you're saying it at a Starbucks, you want it to be in the context that's going to hear their ears, and they could go, "Oh my goodness, my brother's a doctor, and he could totally use that." Right? You want it to project past the person you're talking to, because you're not always going to be able to talk to a doctor, but you've got to say it in a way that a layman can understand it. Then they go, "Oh my goodness, that sounds so good for my doctor buddies." Right? So that's it. I know I'm at time. I'm really, really grateful that you guys spent some time with me today. I hope it wasn't too much of a fire hose of information coming at you. We'll get you some tools, we'll get you some links, we'll get you the slide deck, and either ask vicariously through Dale to me, but Dale knows a lot of this stuff too. So feel free to reach out and I'll help you wherever I can.
Awesome. Amazing stuff, Colin. Thank you so much. Folks, normally I promote the next event we've got coming up, but we don't have anything till January. I think it's like January 6th. We're bringing in the crew from Edmonton Unlimited to talk about testing business ideas, but don't look for it. I don't even have it up on Eventbrite yet. So, but look for that. And yeah, as always, thank you everybody for coming. Look for that email with the survey link coming out. And yeah, we'll talk soon. And thanks, Colin. Have fun out in the desert, my friend. Keep your feet sand free. Everybody else, have yourself a wonderful day. Take care. Bye now.
Yeah. I have